Hello everyone, Solid Zaku here with the first part of our change from light to dark. So, what we have here, as you saw in the promo video, was this jar of Marines. Now, this isn't the same jar of Marines, this is a separate one. I've already taken care of that other jar, just as a proof of concept myself. I mean, I've done it before, but I just wanted to make sure that everything was still in order. Okay, so what we have here is we have our jar of Space Marines, and they, as you can see, are floating about. And they've been sitting in there for a good couple of days. Now, you don't really have to keep them in for too long. I mean, 2 days is pretty much all that you need to make sure that these guys are going to strip properly. But I've just been busy the last couple of weeks with work, so they've been in there for a little longer. Alright, the other thing that you're going to need is a glove. Non-latex if you've got the allergies, etc. You need the glove not because the green stuff is at all dangerous, but because you're going to be using this. Now, this is a denture brush, because hard toothbrushes simply don't work. If you can even find them. Most stores don't even sell hard toothbrushes. But this is a dental brush, and this has really, really firm bristles. It also has these little uneven pokey bristles that you can use to dig into little crannies and whatnot. Now, this is the reason why you're going to need this glove, because when you're running the Space Marine under the water, holding it down with this and scrubbing, chances are you're going to be scrubbing against your finger if you're doing that. Now, like this, it's fine, it doesn't hurt at all, but when you're rubbing really hard, the water's running, the chemicals are going, and you're doing this, it's going to cause some pain after a while. The first time I did it without gloves, I was in pain for a good couple of minutes. I couldn't paint for a bit after that, just because my fingers were just really, really raw. So that's all you need. Models, glove, brush. Let's get to work. Okay. So what we're going to do is first, obviously, put the glove on the hand that you're going to be holding the Marine with. Obviously not the one that you're going to be scrubbing with the brush, because that just doesn't make sense. Alright, so now I've got a very poor water heater in my apartment, so I'm not going to turn it on just yet. Let's pick this guy. Okay, so here he is, if the camera will focus on him at all. Alright, so in between it blurring out and blurring back in, as you can see, some of the paint has already started to flake off. And this is good. You know, that little flake right there will let you know. Let's see if I can do it on the base. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that flaking shows you that it's ready to come off. So let's get the water running. And I don't have an extendable head, or else this would make this a lot easier. So just hold the model down in your hand and start your scrubbing. Now, there really isn't too much of a technique to this. You know, I mean, let's face it, what are you doing? You're stripping your model. But you're just trying to make sure that you get rid of as much paint as is humanly possible. And you're using the running water to help the paint slough off of the model once you get the paint removed. Alright, and just make sure you get it from every angle that you can think of. Yeah. Now, you're not going to be able to do this perfectly, at least not like this. There may be other techniques out there, but you're not watching those other techniques, you're watching this one. Okay, so, yeah, don't be too concerned if the base doesn't look quite right, because of the fact that the base is textured, and heavily textured areas tend not to strip quite as well. So, couple more goes with it. Try to get underneath with the long bristles, the long extender bristles. Yeah, and as you can see underneath, you may not be able to see at this angle. I'm not sure. Can't see through the viewfinder. Oh, let's see. Well, see, underneath the pauldron, in this area, you'll see some paint collect, because for some reason, paint just loves to get in there and does not love to come out. Another motion to use is kind of a downward thing instead of just the cross to cross, because it actually forces the bristles down onto the model and shoves out some more of the paint. So let's just continue with that. And alright, I'm pretty happy with that. This is a now stripped model. Okay, chances are the camera will not focus for this. Let me turn off the background noise. There, that helps a little bit. Okay. There you can see. Okay, so here's some tips and tricks with this. When you're doing this, make sure that when you are doing it, you apply enough pressure to just keep it in place so that it doesn't, follow you around, because with this, you're not getting any scrubbing done. You have to be doing this. Okay, but don't be alarmed if your model all of a sudden, oops, snaps off its base. Don't be surprised if, oops, leg snaps off. Don't be surprised if, oops, gun comes off. This stuff happens. This stuff just happens. You can't stop it. It's going to happen to you. I've had crazy rare instances where the leg will actually break off. Now, I'm not going to snap it like this because that would actually damage the model and make it hard to repair. Not that it's impossible to repair, but it's not fun. But yeah, sometimes the leg will actually break, depending on how well you superglued it to begin with. Okay, and one kind of advantageous thing is if it does break off the base, then you could actually go back in and get some of the paint that's stuck in between the legs, kind of in the thigh area. So let me see if I can pick off a little more of that. Alright, it also allows you to basically stuff the brush in between the legs and get his power armored crotch, which I'm sure he does not appreciate. Right, and if you do have any really stubborn paint, this isn't paint, this is actually holes that are dug into his leg. If you do have some stubborn paint, you can actually hold the model down and just go after it. Okay, so that's how you take care of that. Now I'm going to time-lapse this and take care of the rest of this jar.
The small black crumbs that you see coming off of the models are actually pieces of blended corkboard. And by blended, I mean I literally just tossed a handful of corkboard into a blender. Until it was about the consistency of your average modeling flock. Now, what this does is it can give you an extreme amount of flock. I mean, I can fill up a very large cereal bowl full of the material for very low cost. It costs something like $3 for what would be, I guess you consider maybe a half-gallon sized container worth of material. Now, if you put that into GW terms, you'd be spending upwards of $100 trying to do that. So always look for ways to make your hobby more financially stable. That model right there that you saw for the split second was just a custom pose that I made that I thought was fairly interesting. If you notice, I'm also pouring out some of the green stuff as I go along. What that's doing is, as I'm reaching into the bottle, it allows me to not splash it all over my countertop, which is, it's not that it's difficult to clean. I mean, hell, it's a cleaner, but it's more convenient for me that I don't have to worry about the water sloshing around and I have to mop it up later. Okay, back to the movie.
And there you have it, with just a few minutes worth of rubbing, scrubbing, and a nice denture brush. These Marines went from painted and serving the false emperor to stripped and ready to take on the truth of the universe. Okay, so a couple of things I would have done differently with this. I would probably have put in my drain stopper. I would highly recommend that if you don't have a, if there's like no bottom to your drain. I could have very easily lost some of my pieces there, some of my models, and I wouldn't want that to happen to any of you guys if it was, say, a bit that you had made custom, or if you had no others of its kind, heads or legs, for example. But apart from that, I think this went pretty well. One thing, though, if you have small items like this strap on this bolter, just expect to lose it. It's going to come off because the scrubbing action is simply too intense for it. If you want to go after it with a smaller brush, a softer brush, and try to get some of that stuff off, more power to you. Me, I'll just, yeah, I'll clean this off and then I'll clean it up with my X-Acto knife and some other tools later. That's all we have for now. The next one is going to be how to assemble a Chaos Space Marine. It should be coming in much faster order than this one came out compared to the last video I put out. So, how to build a Chaos Space Marine up next. Solid Zaku, out.